Welcome to Homestead Reptile, and today I want to talk to you guys about the Dekay's brown snake. This is a very unique species. I personally think they are okay pets. I would put them in the intermediate zone, so they're not super difficult, but you need to be prepared if you want to keep one of these. First off, they are very, very, very difficult to find, if nearly impossible, captive bred. You rarely ever see them captive bred. They're generally 90.9% of the time wild caught. So if you're okay with wild caught animals, that's pretty much where you're going to have to end up getting them. I'm going to be trying to do a little project captively breeding them, but again, they're very difficult to find captive bred, unfortunately. So these guys are pretty easy to feed. In the wild, they eat worms, they eat snails, and they eat slugs. So you just need to replicate that diet in captivity. Now, all of my Dekays eat pretty much immediately. They are little pigs. They're aggressive eaters. They have kind of a little bit of a more rounded face. So that little rounded face structure is fantastically designed to rip snails out of their shells. They are experts at that. They're pretty calm. Well, this girl's pretty calm. They each have their own little personality, but most of them are pretty calm. I have one girl that's a little bit more energetic. They generally, well, actually, I have never been bitten by a Dekays. You might get musked on, but once they really settle in, that shouldn't happen either. Again, they're a pretty calm snake for this size. They are incredibly calm for the size they are. They can live in pretty small enclosures. You could keep multiple Dekays in a 20-gallon long their entire life. They're never going to outgrow it. You can keep a group of males in a 10, or you can keep some babies in a 5. The main issue you're going to run into Dekays are them escaping. You have to make sure you have that cage locked down. They can sneak out of any little gap that you leave behind. They don't like it very hot. Now, this is kind of like, a lot of people say keep Dekays like garter snakes, and then there's another group of people that will say keep Dekays on the cooler end. So I find my Dekays like it a little bit cooler than a garter snake likes it. I like to keep it around 80 for my Dekays, and I let that temperature drop at night. I like to give them a nice little humid area. I like to keep the humidity in the little humid zone about 65%. Because again, it's like they live under humid boards, rocks. They live under things in the wild. And that's a massive pocket of humidity because they hunt for prey that needs to live in humidity. So they like humidity. Not through the entire cage, but give them little zones of humidity. And you'll see them hanging out there a lot. Now, one thing I did find really interesting is my Dekays actually like to hang out in front of the cage, on the plants, and just hang out right in the open. They're not in their permanent setup right now. They're actually both pregnant, so they're in these type of little setups right here to give birth. So if this was interesting, like and subscribe, and leave a comment.